In modern time, you ever wonder why black Americans are often chastised for not spending money wisely and not saving majority of their income? But did you know that in the late 1860s, nearly 5 million newly freed black slaves made a massive effort to save money? Did you know that? The United States Congress reserved the freedmen's savings and trust company banks to handle the former slaves' money. 2/3 of the blacks' deposits were to be invested in securities of the United States. But the ex-slave deposits were placed in life savings, military wages, bounties, freedom dues, church tithes, and donations from benevolent societies. Nearly 58 million US dollars were deposited by the black slaves over a span of 9 years in 37 different branches of the Freedman Banks in New York, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Philadelphia, Nashville, Memphis, Charleston, Savannah, etc. Even though the federal government created these banks to provide financial support for ex-slaves, they were destined to fail. Racist white bank managers were appointed and given total unsupervised control over the ex-slaves' monies. The black depositors were not protected, and the boards of white trustees invested the 57 million US dollars in ventures for their own self-enrichment and swindled the free slaves of their limited properties and life savings. So 5 years after the Civil War ended, the American nation sought once again to reinstate slavery of free blacks. So the bill to grant each ex-slave 40 acres, a mule, and $100 were forfeited. So instead, they passed laws to lock blacks in semi-slavery called peonage or sharecropping system. However, when the 13th, 14th, and 15th amendments to the Constitution to affect only blacks failed, they had abandoned their corrupt agendas of the Civil War semi-slavery installment and the freedmen programs. So the government public statement for this inhumane hoodwinking of ex-slaves' total resources were simply bank mismanagement and economical downturn. So that was their silly excuse to take away the black slaves' money. Consistent with historical practice of the white society, never had to pay a penalty for the trauma and anguish it has inflicted on black people for over 500 years. The white managers of the freedmen banks were never held responsible for the fraudulent investment scheme and outright theft. So black Americans lost more than their life savings after the freedmen banks collapsed. So they lost their faith in banks, elected officials, and business development. So even though in present times, black Americans have not put the heat on Congress to investigate this past event, all public hearings are to compensate the millions of black depositors for the losses imposed on them. There is still time for justice to prevail on behalf of black Americans. So black people, we do have work to do.